In today's video lesson, we will learn about the slope of linear functions. Let's start with just an example function, y equals 2x. First, we will make a table of values and plot this function. We'll just take x equals 0 and 1 because we only need 2 points to make a plot of this linear function. If x equals 0, then y equals 2 times that, which is just 0. If x equals 1, then y equals 2 times 1, which is just 2. This gives us 2 points in the coordinate plane, which I shall now draw. 0, 0 is just the origin, so I have it labeled here. 1, 2 is 1 to the right and 2 above the origin. We just use our ruler now to connect the two dots. And here is the plot of our linear function. Now we just draw the two arrows and label the function. Now, to discover and to investigate further what slope is, let's extend our table of values for x to include x equals 2, 3, and 4. Since y equals 2 times x, when x equals 2, y equals 4, 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 2 is 8. Now, notice, every time we go from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4, we increment x by 1. It increases by 1. And for each of these increases by 1, y increases by 2. Because 4 minus 2 is 2, 6 minus 4 is 2, and 8 minus 6 is 2 as well. This change of 2 per 1 in x is the slope, and it is also represented in the function as the constant 2 multiplied times the x. I'll show what I mean by the slope graphically now. Here, if we move 1 to the right, then we will go 2 up, as long as we're following on the line. And it doesn't matter where you start. If there's a person standing at any point on this line, y equals 2x, and he moves along the line so that he shifts over to the right 1 unit, then he will have moved 2 units up. It is kind of a staircase. The person can keep moving over 1, and he will end up moving 2 up every time he does so. So really what we mean by the slope is change in y per unit change in x. Now I'm going to clean up the board real quick. Next, we're just going to draw another function and compare the different slopes to see what it means to have negative slope. This function will be y equals negative 2x. So again, we will make a table of values for x and y. We'll just start with x equals 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have a complete table like the one we did for y equals 2x. Of course, if x equals 0, then y also equals 0. And if x equals 1, well, negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. And the rest of these values are pretty easy to calculate. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, and negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. So to graph this, we'll just take the points 0, 0, and 1, negative 2. So 0, 0 we already have drawn, it's the origin. And 1, negative 2 is 1 to the right and 2 below the origin. So now we just connect these points with the ruler. And this will be our function y equals negative 2x. Now we can check out what it means to be the slope of a function negative 2x. The only difference between this function and the last is a negative sign. The slope, instead of being 2, will be negative 2. We'll see now what that means for the function. As before, we increment the x values by 1, and we see that from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4, x increases by 1 each time. But the changes in y now are a decrease by 2. That is negative 2. So for every change in x by 1, we have a corresponding change in y by negative 2. That is a decrease in 2. If we draw a similar person on the graph y equals negative 2x on any point, and if he moves along this graph 1 unit to the right, then he will have moved 2 units down. So now I will erase the plot, and we will discuss what it means to be the slope of a function in general. So as we discussed in the previous video about plotting linear functions, all linear functions are some number times x plus another number. We can write this down as y equals mx plus b, where m and b are constants. The slope of any such function is m. So in the second example, where we had the function y equals negative 2x plus 0, which is the same as negative 2x, the slope would have been negative 2. In the first example, the slope is simply 2. In this example I just wrote down, the slope would be 7. I hope this explained well to you what exactly slope is. In some future video lessons, I will explain more about how to calculate the slope and where it becomes useful. Thank you for watching.